these are men. Like, how did this happen? I want more. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to be past, I want to be, but I'm like, why are they selling their bodies on the street? Like, why are you walking?
You didn't even understand.
I didn't really understand. Like, why are y'all prostitutes on the street? Like, what's going on
if
here?
You look so good. That's what
like, why y'all ain't got no man taking care of you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you, there's no way possible that you are a man, because you so, child going through the life, getting involved, getting work, getting the things, advancing more. And it's just like you get to the job and you've advanced more. Your titties are big, your hips is big, and you come in that bitch. And at the time, and I'm a Florida bitch.
Right.
So I didn't change my name at the time. I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary on the 18th of April for changing my name.
Wow.
Legally.
You just did that at 46? Really? What took you so long?
My mom.
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
I didn't want to, I felt I didn't want to disrespect her.
Okay.
I have a very close relationship with my mom. And I didn't want to disrespect her because I felt that, she gave me that. And I was hers,
Wow.
and she gave me that name. And, she said that Timothy means honor God and, all this stuff, So I struggled with that for a very long time. I even did it, even on my television show. I talked to her about it,
Well, because did you go and finally, what was the conversation then to ask? Did you ask
on the
for
television
permission?
on the television show? I talked to her. I said, "Mommy, I've been living this life."
And which television show?
My own television show.
Hello,
my own television show.
Say the name.
The T.S. Madison Experience.
The Experience.
I am the first Black transgender woman to executive produce and star in her own reality television series.
On what network?
On Earth.
Let's go.
On WeTV.
Let's go. Let's go.
On Earth.
So you have this conversation live.
Yeah, on TV. And so I'm telling her, like, I need to, and then even after the show wrapped and we were finished or whatever, I still didn't go do it.
Wow.
It was only till right up until recently where the legislations are changing. Everything is anti-trans and anti-this and so much anti-trans laws. And I say this with humility. I'm a passable trans woman. And so, when I pull out my ID, I used to do it for shock value, like, hey, Timothy. But now it's just like, and they could be like, well, how you know? But now when I pull out my ID, like no one's paying it any attention. And the only reason why people know a lot about me is because one, they know BigDickBitch.com.
Right.
Or two, because I'm famous for other things and BigDickBitch.com.
Right.
But if I was just scrolling through, you're not thinking twice about me being born male.
Seeing you get emotional just now, like I could see you tearing up. And it was making me want to tear up. And talking about the respect that you have for your mom, I've been loving watching Gerard Carmichael's show. Not because I'm enjoying him so much, but just kind of this like mental breakdown we get to see.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's so difficult to watch is his respect with his mom.
Yeah.
And so just to know how much you've been through and how important you are in the community for people, to respect your mom this many years and hold that, it just really shows me that a lot of people can be selfish with their queerness, their coming out. And I think we've got to give parents a little more grace. So that's why when you were saying, I'm not saying this to anybody, I almost feel like I'm even going in the reverse because I understand that like other people are moving slower and I don't want to shit on them because they're not where we're at.
Right.
And I feel like we shun so many people away because we're forcing them to be here with us.
I'm weird with the word grace, and I want to dig into, do you not feel, or was there a conversation because you were pushed out of the home because of your transition? Is there not any blame or anger that you have for that experience with having to go on the trail and having to go through sex work and having to have that experience because she judged you in that moment?
Well, when I was younger, maybe.
Okay.
Because,
how did you get over that too?
Well, the way it helped me get past it was I had to put myself in her shoes and just think like, my mother's a devout Christian. And me was a huge challenge. Me.
Okay.
That's a challenge to a Christian.
Yes.
How can you love God? How can you win souls? How can you do this? You can't even save your own child. Right? Come on now. This is me now thinking. Then I was, mad and I was just like, well, I'm going, it's me and fuck y'all. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all y'all. I'm just gonna get out here. I'm gonna work, I'm a whatever, now I'm a whore, a hooker. I didn't want to do any of that. None of that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to do any of that. So I want the people that are out there to watch it to know that was not my life choice. I did not want to do that.
Mm.
However, at 47 now, looking, that was a path that was carved out for me from the Creator.
Mm.
And when I think about it in this space, I think about how many people have watched me, from you ladies to other trans women to so many heterosexual people to superstars to this, whose lives that I've changed just by me existing.
Mm.
And so when I get to this space that I am now, to occupy lots of public, big platforms, television, and all that type of stuff, if I didn't have any of that testimony, I wouldn't have no story to tell.
You're right.
Or I wouldn't have a place to help deliver other people. So I've gotten to a place in my life now, just recently, and I still have my struggle moments, where I understand that the journey has really nothing to do with me.
Mm.
And when you're called on a journey to do something from the Creator, it has its road.
Right.
So I'm not mad at my mother.
Okay.
She only did what was supposed to do with what she knew to do.
And she had to say goodbye to you.
Yes, she did. What she had to do, and what the Creator put me inside of her to do for the world.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know that she had to have that difficult journey.
Right.
I didn't know that I didn't start realizing that there was purpose behind me until 2014. I know that I didn't know that BigDickBitch.com would do what it did. Like, I was a millionaire when I was in my 23.
What's Big Dick Bitch for nobody?
BigDickBitch.com was an adult paid site that I created when I was home. Little girl, listen, y'all.
Well, but what was that your? So I want to tell you the one scene.
What I did? Girl, tell
me. It was in the back of like a really big house. I don't know if it was your house.
It was mine.
Okay.
Oh,
and it was and it was weird because you shot it at nighttime. But I remember you laid something out. I don't know, but you was fucking this fine light skinned man, and I think he might have had braids. Do you know the scene I'm talking about?
I do.
Oh my God! Do you remember? You know exactly the scene.
I do.
And I was like, this is shot so weird, but you got up on top.
Yeah, rolled him. Like I laid a.
It was like a top. What was it?
It was mosquitoes and shit outside,
bro. It was so homemade.
Yes,
but when
that's funny.
But the man was fine. The dick was big. I was like,
I paved the way for these OnlyFans girls.
Talk your shit.
I did.
And this was a time where we still had the porn star era.
Mm-hmm.
You said no. I'm gonna own my own shit.
Yes.
I at the time was not finding any other trans women on the internet.
Not no black ones.
Not the
black
ones. Find you.
Not the black ones.
No. They were wearing a skirt. They were wearing a wig, but they weren't living it.
Yeah.
They weren't living as a trans
woman. Yeah, not the black ones.
No.
And here's the thing. All that is part of my journey. Let me tell you why. After the firings and after the jobs and after all the stuff or whatever, and after the being homeless and stuff, I threw myself into, all right, well, if this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna do. So I need more ass, more tits, more body.
Wow.
I end up getting sick from silicone. I got silicone poison.
No.
Mm-hmm. I end up getting sick. I ended up having to move back home.
With
everything.
Your implants
with everything. I came back home with everything. I was skinny. I was like 137 pounds.
Wow.
And this is how me and my mother reunited. As I had been out in the world.
Right.
I came back home. I was about 22. And I remember me, because, I'm from the time where AIDS, HIV was like, it was no HIV, it was just AIDS.
Yeah.
You just had AIDS.
It was
and then you would die.
And you would die. And so, everybody talked about, don't be a because if you go out there and be a you're going to die of AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
So me coming home sick and skinny, so your parents is thinking like, oh God, my child has AIDS. Like because this,
right, and because you were sick.
Yeah. But this was not the case. I was silicone poisoned.
Did you know what was wrong with you at the time?
Well, I went to the hospital because I had like if you see the stories now, like the stories are people tell the stories or whatever.
Well, you going to the hospital or doctor transitioning in the 90s.
Yeah.
How did they?
Well, you go into the hospital with open wounds from where this stuff is open and is leaking on you and stuff like that or whatever. And then you're hearing like during that time, like so many people were dying like of back door injections or whatever, and then I come home poisoned. I tried to do everything I could not to come home. But I went back to my apartment. I was so sick. Like I was so sick. I was so small. I couldn't move. I had like open wounds on my body, from it, and I still have those scars. I kept those scars on me. And I kept those scars to remind older me where younger me was. And because I could have had skin grafts and had that shit, but I decided to keep those things because those are my war wounds, and the reminders of bitch, don't you ever, even when because it gets addicting like tattoos. That's why there's so many big bodies and so many big because it gets addicting. So I came home. I remember my aunt. I moved in the house of my aunt, and I was laying in the bed back there, and my mother came in, and she just broke into tears because I was laying in the bed like I was a patient. I was skinny. I had bed pads laying on me. I was just leaking, and the doctors at the time don't know how do you know how to do this? And you're a man.
They judge you.
How do you know how to do this? Like, what the fuck? What are you anyway? Like, what's going on here? And who did this to you?
That treatment was even coming from the doctors.
Yeah. Who did this to you? Like, why would you even lay down and let somebody do this to you? Like, it's like, bitch, I don't want to explain none of this shit you don't understand. So I'm home, and my aunt is washing my wounds or whatever. My mother comes in, and then she just burst into tears. And we had a moment, and she said to me, that I would never have to walk in the world alone again.